Yes, it's another time on the 40 Plus Woman program with Busola Jegede, and it's always a joy to share with women out there. Today we have a wonderful topic as usual, but a topic that is needed by every woman. We need an understanding. And like we always do on the show, we want you to know that you may be 40, 50 or 60, the best of your years are still ahead of you. And we bring you wisdom nuggets, information, inspiration, everything you need to strategically position yourself so you can harness all your years of labor and have a wonderful time even as you move on in life. Today we're dealing with a topic that women are really known for, but many of us are not managing it well. And so if you're a woman out there, we want you right now to sit right back, call somebody to come and pay attention to today's topic. We're talking about emotions. Yes, emotions. How can we effectively manage our emotions? Needless to say, women are very emotional. We take a lot of emotional decisions. Where men tend to be factual, we women tend to be emotional. And today we have a specialist, a guru, somebody who is going to share with us not just what she's trained for, but she's sharing experiential knowledge. She's a woman who has been through so much, and she's going to be sharing with us on 2 episodes. And so this is the first episode of the 40 Plus Woman on effectively managing your emotions. So I want you to sit right back, and I'm going to introduce our guest in a bit. Hello there, my name is Busola Jegede. I am a John Maxwell certified coach, a consultant, and a chartered accountant. For over 15 years, I've been working with women, helping them to discover their purpose, their vision, holding their hands, seeing them through turning their visions to profitable ventures. And it will be a delight to work with you. Do you feel unfulfilled? Do you feel that there is more to your life? Do you have a story to tell, a book to write, a vision to birth? Are you over 40 or 50? I can assure you that the second half of your life can be better than the first half. Why don't you sign up for my one-on-one coaching session or a strategy session? It will be a joy to work with you to reinvent yourself, to birth a new you. Welcome back. Yes, I'm sure you are itching to know who our guest is today. When I first discussed with her on the Facebook group, believe me, I had a real lifestyle change overnight because she brought it down. With us today to share with us is Dr. Lila St. Matthew Daniel. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Apostle.
So, Dr. Lila is a transformation agent, a catalyst of change. She's a thought leader. She's somebody who is well versed in emotions and who has, by virtue of her life experience, she has so much to share. She is a mother of beautiful girls, 4 beautiful girls, I believe, yes. And she's also a grandmother. And so I welcome you to today's broadcast, Doctor.
I'm glad to be here.
So, what are these emotions and how does it affect us as women?
Well, you see, emotions form our core as women, if we're talking about women. Because if we were not emotional beings, there's so many things that we have to cope with daily. And the things we have to do, we are nurturers. And we must be able to, feel different things at different times. Now, when you are aware of the power of these emotions, then you can control them. When you are not aware of them, then they control you at different points. And that's where the problem is with women. They allow their emotions to run ahead of them because they feel so many things at the same time. And unfortunately, they don't know how to control it. With the men, they are more clinical. I always say that the men are like the hard drive. of a computer. The women are like the soft drive. You load, 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 and they're so malleable, but because they don't know how to handle it, it can work against them.
Wow. So, in what aspect of life do we see emotions play out?
In various aspects of life, in relationships. Relationships is not just the emotional relationships with your children, with colleagues, with neighbors, with the extended family, in your job, everywhere. Emotions play out in various ways. Everything that we do is connected to an emotion that says joy, happiness, peace, worry, anger, everything, all of them are emotions. Sadness, moodiness, you know, ecstasy, they're all emotions.
So needless to say, emotion affects our attitude.
Totally. Emotions affect your attitude. And the emotions, the attitude depends on what emotions were prevalent when the child was growing up, you know, because whatever has been ingrained into a child, either through various ways, will form the pattern of their reaction to things that happen. So it affects their attitude, it affects their behavior and their responses and their reactions.
Wow, that's so powerful. Now, this is the 40 Plus Woman, this program, and can we know how emotions play out in our lives, especially as we grow older, knowing that at that time we probably have so many people in our sphere of influence, your emotions as a mother, as a wife, and then when things unfold in our space as women, what are those peculiarities that you have seen and how do we manage them?
What I've seen is before 40, there is the joie la vivre, you know, things are done without thinking, you just move, you flow and everything. And then you get to 40 and the realization comes that, you see, when you're in your 30s, when you're in your 20s, 30 seems far away. 30s, 40 seems far away. Now 40s, you now see 50.
Far away.
Not too far away. You know, you see 50. And then suddenly the woman in her 40s, early 40s, begin to, you know, think about her life, begins to think about the past, begins to think about the future. And then it depends on where they are at that point in time. If they are in a bad place, it can actually lead to a multitude of emotions that could lead them down to being depressive, getting into a depressive state, getting into a worry state. If they are not married yet, they now go into overdrive and begin to worry and begin to look at their timing biologically as well as, you know, physiologically, and they look at their timing. And that is when they could make the biggest mistakes of their life, because now their values, if they have understood the kind of values that they have vis-a-vis the kind of person that they would like to share their life with, they now drop those values and then just go into a relationship and believe you me,
just to have somebody or just to have a child, because the biological clock is going. Now, wherever you are, it was a choice. It's based on the choices you made in the past. So why are you where you are that you are not yet married? There are various reasons. It could be your career, it could be disappointments, you understand, and you decided, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, and then suddenly you're 40 and you said, maybe I should just, you know, drop it down. So they go through, you know, anxiety. Anxiety is predominant. And then again, it comes to their businesses, to where they are, whether they are in paid employment, whether they have their own situation. So it's a cacophony of different feelings and different emotions that come to them. Now, if they are emotionally intelligent, they'll be able to decipher all these things and put them into their different compartments. But most of us are not emotionally intelligent. We just run with our emotions. And in this neck of the woods, we don't really appreciate the role of trained counselors, trained coaches, trained therapists to assist you to, you know, bridge that gap, to go over that gap. There's a place for the spiritual, there's a place for the counselor, there's a place for the coach and the
therapists, but we have a misconception of what all of this is about. Mental health does not mean anything is wrong with you. And during that time, your hormones, it's midlife.
Exactly.
It's midlife, whether we like it or not.
It is.
It's midlife. And your hormones are going to begin to react and play up. And it will affect your moods, it will affect your attitude, it will affect your behavior. Some get more cantankerous. You understand? Some get more jealous, envious, because you're looking back and then you're looking forward.
Somebody younger
and you
doing
say,
so much
you
more.
understand? And then you could even see your mate doing even more, and you begin to question yourself. You understand? So there are so many things. And if they are not emotionally resilient and intelligent, they are going to give in to all of those things. They will make mistakes. They will be unhappy, they will be moody, they will have all kinds of situations happen to them. And emotions drive your organs.
Wow.
They drive your organs. So that headache, that stomach ache, that this, that, because at 40 plus, you're not supposed to be having joint aches, actually. But it ties in to, I always say that the organs peep into the brain. Because there's a portion of the brain called the amygdala, and that is the emotional area. And if anything is wrong with it, it will affect the different areas. That's why when I train on stress management, I actually take each of the organs and tell you which emotions actually control those organs and the reactions in those organs. So it controls everything.
P1 Premium presents to you Premium Vintage Gardens, located at the heart of Ibeju-Lekki by Lakowe Golf Course. It has an excellent title of CFO and governor's consent, 100% dry land, and built-up neighborhood. Sizes and prices include 6.250 million for 300 square meters. A 450 square meters goes for 9,375,000 naira. A 600 square meters goes for 12,500,000 naira. Estate feature, gated and secured environment, perimeter fencing, good road network, gardens and landscaping, prompt allocation, neighborhood, Novera Shopping Mall, and Corona's Grove, Lekki. Other estates from P1 Premium includes Imperial Estate, Jikoyi, Abuja, Imperial City Estate, Asaba, Imperial City, Warri, Imperial City, Port Harcourt. For more inquiry, visit our website www.p1premium.com or call us on 0033117277 or 08052928259.
Wow. So you spoke about being emotionally resilient, and that just hit me because we go through so much and then we take decisions because we're angry, we take decisions because we're bitter, we react. How can a woman be emotionally resilient? For instance, she's having a bad marriage. How can she be emotionally resilient?
The bad marriage, there's always a beginning, the center, and the end. A lot of women go into marriages without really understanding the kind of person they are and the kind of person they should be with. And, having a personality profiling is very key. That's why when you talk about the Chinese in those days, that they'll look at your star and this one looks at the star and then they make sure it's touching. There's a bit of energy in everybody. We are all energy beings and we all are formed by different DNAs. And so you need to know who you are first and foremost. Who are you? What experiences have you been through that has changed who you really are and has put you through to another level that you are now behaving contrary to how you were? So when you are in a marriage that is difficult or causing you great stress around that time, you begin to wonder, is this how my life is going to be? Am I going to stay like this for the rest of my life? I wrote a book that says, when should you walk away? There are many questions you need to ask yourself. How did you start? Was God in it? Did you just make the decision on the spur of the moment? So if you have a bad marriage, you either ask yourself, is it worth your while to stay in there? Especially if it's a violent one and it has been going on for a long time. Is it
not with life.
Is it worth your while to stay there? Then you ask yourself, what are the pluses and minuses of this marriage? Am I as well part of the problem? You see, you need to know yourself and you need to be honest to yourself. A lot of us push the problem to the other side. It's always the other party's fault. But you need to do a self-check, a self-analysis. Are you part of the problem? Did you come into that relationship with a lot of baggage and wanted the other party to always be the one to take you out of that baggage? You understand? So, to be emotionally resilient, you have to be true to yourself. You have to understand what is going on. And as I say, when you cannot choose the situation that is happening around you or coming at you, you either leave that situation or you now begin to learn new ways and new methods of handling that situation. And that is being resilient. So that whatever comes at you, you can stand. Ask yourself questions. The most important thing is to have the ability to ask questions. Why am I reacting this way? You will get an answer. If I do not react this way, what will happen? You get an answer. A lot of times when we react, we are reacting based on our own feelings, our own fears, our own insecurities, all of those all jammed together. So to be emotionally resilient, you have to, number one, be ready to look at yourself, confront yourself, because we could be our own lion, you know. Objectively, ask yourself questions. Why am I behaving this way? Why is this, that? Don't play the game way of saying it's his fault. It's always the other party's fault. You have a choice. You have a choice. So by the time you start knowing who you are, what you actually desire, where you have made a mistake, what has happened, then you ask yourself, is this marriage worth saving? If it is worth saving, you now ask another question, is he ready for it to be saved? Because, you see, you can't do it all yourself. But if you take the back seat and you open yourself up, especially if you are a Christian too as well, and you hand over everything and ask, you know, God to take charge. But first, you must ask yourself the salient questions. Where have I gone wrong myself? And that's where a lot of people don't ask questions, you know. A lot of people don't want to face
the reality.
Fears, confront their realities, confront anything. But that 3 a.m., I call it the 4 a.m. realistic check. Most people have it. When you know the truth inside of you, but you walk in denial, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. is when you yourself and you and your God, it all depends on your religion and everything, you yourself and your God, you start asking questions. Then by the time dawn comes, you put on another cloak and you keep going, but it all comes down. So to be emotionally resilient, I repeat, you've got to look inwards, find out the truth about yourself, identify where the problems are, identify your weaknesses, do a SWOT analysis, your strength, your weakness, to yourself, be true, and then you work on them.
Wow, such a deep one. Now, when you were talking, something just crossed my mind that as women, we are naturally the mothers. In what ways can our emotions be passed on negatively to our children, and how does it impact them?
Well, you see, children, we all have the 5 senses. And even while the child is in the womb, it has been, research has found out that they pick up things, all the things that is going on around, they pick them up. And so our children watch you, they've come in like a blank plate, a blank page. And from their birth, you can see that they are staring. You know, they don't blink. Because they are recording, like the camera is recording. They're just recording and recording and recording. And everything. It's this recording whilst they're still being nurtured, whilst they become toddlers and everything, that now forms the basis of the way they will react in future. So when that child begins to misbehave at the age of 10, 11, 12, what video have they been watching? What have you been playing to them? What have they listened, smelled, tasted, seen, touched, that they are now using to respond to what life? Because up to the point of 7, it has been researched that from 0 to 7 plus, it's like a video recorder. It just takes in the good, the bad, the ugly, takes it in. Then at 7 plus, there is an unseen situation that happens, like an unseen gate, takes in 90% and opens the gate for 10%. So it's the 10% that is the conscious. The other one is the subconscious. So the 10% now is the one we use. And if anything happens, it goes back and takes what has been learned to deal with it. Do you understand? So a child will react based on what you, the mother, you, the father, has done. You show anger all the time, they see it as
that's okay.
That's okay. You see your mother being beaten and she's not saying anything, she will see it as they grow up. Those are the ones that could grow up and attract a woman beater and will stay there.
Because that's what they saw.
That's what they saw. And even the man, the guy who's in that situation, will now start telling the wife or the girlfriend, what's your problem? My father used to beat my mother up and she was still there. She's still alive there till tomorrow, because that's what he sees. And some of them, sometimes, it's a case of, it's because I love you, that's why I'm dealing with you. So they now see it as, if someone does not hit me, that means they don't love me.
Wow.
So anger, they now react with anger. That is their own coping mechanisms to various things. So the way we act at home, in those days, when they used to say, be careful of what you say in front of children, I see a lot of parents nowadays who say things in front of that they shouldn't say in front of their children.
That's so powerful. We need to go on a short break right now. We'll be back. Don't go away. Don't change that channel. See you in a bit.
Introducing Blissful Honey Beans. Rich in protein and fiber. Good nutrition for your family. Blissful Honey Beans. Hygienically packed in 2 kg and 1 kg packet. Stone-free and weevil-free. Pour straight to your pot and cook. Stress-free and convenient. Order online and it will be delivered anywhere in Lagos. For other locations, call 070-8307-6210. Blissful Honey Beans. No stress.
Welcome back. It's been a very, very explosive session on effectively managing your emotions. With us in the studio is Dr. Laila St. Matthew Daniel. Now, before we went on the break, you were talking about, you know, sometimes we see some behavior that we can't even trace. We don't even know where they came from. And I want you to talk, as we round up on this particular episode, how would you handle a negative emotion from somebody else? How do you take it? How do you handle it as a woman, for instance? Not just in marriage, maybe anywhere, maybe from in-laws, because this is the age where I think typically, really, when you get to this age, those are the kind of things that define how close you will be. You may be avoiding some people in your family because they behave in a particular way. Maybe they didn't accept you. So how can a woman handle negative emotions from people or negative attitude from people by being emotionally resilient, like you said? So how do we do it?
Very quickly, I'll just say, I come back to know yourself, know your situation, and then decide boundaries. You see, once you understand
boundaries,
that it's not you per se, it is the situation that is around you. As I said earlier, if you can't leave that situation, because if the person is toxic around you, you will decide, look, so far and no further. But like you said, family, husband, friends, certain friends, because you can do away with certain friends. You now decide, they're not going to affect me past a certain point. Because sometimes when you allow it to affect you, it's because you are not conscious of yourself. You have some little low self-esteem. You are not confident, and you have a people pleaser kind of attitude. You want to be loved. So you don't want anybody to feel that you are not doing the right thing. So you overly bend over, and then when you come out of it, your spirit is ruffled. Your values are ruffled. So you put boundaries. So far and no further. And then you stand. When you know yourself, you're not rude. You're not nasty. You learn to just be, you know, nice. But you must remember that you cannot expect anyone to behave the way you want them to behave. You can only take authority over yourself.
Exactly.
So you don't take authority over somebody else. So that is the way they are. You begin to look at different ways that you can handle them if you cannot do away with them. Your in-laws and everything, you put boundaries. Boundaries,
so you
boundaries.
don't open yourself up
Yes, you
unnecessarily.
don't open yourself up, and you put boundaries, and don't allow yourself to feel guilty. You understand? Don't feel guilty, because not everybody can love you.
So what you're saying essentially is that you may need to exit some relationships.
Oh, yes. I tell people, dump any situation. You need to be selfish when you love yourself. There's the place for being selfish and loving yourself, and the place for being, you know, proud and self-aggrandizing. But when you love yourself and you know yourself, you are a nice person, you try to be nice. Nobody is perfect. And if you've been taking it as a young person, 30s, when you get to your 40s, you begin to have that attitude, which is normal, because now you are a full-range adult. And you begin to wonder, should I take this or should I not take this? Now, if you do not set those boundaries, you begin to get annoyed at yourself. But what will happen is that you will play it out against somebody else. Because most times when you are reactive against yourself, something you are not doing right. So you have to set boundaries. If something is not making you happy, it's not making you happy. And put boundaries in place. And then understand that nobody can like you 100%. So that people pleaser, you want everybody to love you, that is a minus for you too as well. Because if you love yourself, don't worry about what another person is going through. You understand? Put your boundaries in place. Make sure you are fair. And stand your
ground. Wow, put boundaries in place. That's how far we can take on this episode, but we are going to be back next episode, still talking about emotions. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Laila. Thank you so much for this wonderful time. And for all those who are out there, you've heard it. I'm going to just end it right there. We're going to be back next episode. Remember to continue on our Facebook page. It's called The 40 Plus Woman, and also on Instagram, The 40 Plus Woman. And you can also follow me at Jegede Busola. That's how far for today, and I'll be back with some recap. Thank you so much, Dr. Laila.
It's a pleasure to be here.
We'll see next episode.
La 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 la.
So many takeaway points our guest has really downloaded today. She says you must be emotionally resilient. Yes, and you need to set boundaries. Don't allow people to dump their negative emotions on you. And she said something very important, that you need to know yourself, because sometimes when there's a bad situation, we always want to blame somebody else. You've got to know yourself. You've got to analyze your situation. You've got to know that sometimes, even amongst your children, you may see one or two having some form of attitude or behavior you don't understand. We have a lot of genetic makeup that come to play in the way we behave. And so we're looking forward to episode 2. Remember, you need to be emotionally resilient. See you at the next episode of The 40 Plus Woman. My name is Busola Jegede. Have a wonderful time. Bye for now.
Like a diamond in the rough, you were built up to be tough. You were blessed beyond the curse by the power of the cross. So don't give up on the cause.